Stop scrolling. If you can train your mind to stay clear under pressure, you can win in any situation, because nothing outside you will ever have the power to break you inside. People rearrange jobs and routines, but they rarely seize the only lever that moves everything: how they think. When thinking is weak, emotion runs the day. When thoughts scatter, effort leaks. But when the mind is sharp and trained, you don't panic, fracture, or quit. You don't need another speech. You need training, a structure that turns pressure into clarity and clarity into action. This audiobook isn't here to entertain you. It's here to wake you up. It gives you a process to perform under stress, stay calm, and execute when nothing goes your way. You don't need perfect conditions. You need standards practiced daily until they become your default. Here's the truth. If you wake up and drift, your day is behind. Begin with command. Decide what to think, what to ignore, and what to do, and the day forms around you. The fix isn't louder motivation. The fix is better structure. You will build that structure now. Own your first hour. Guard your focus like it pays your future. Because it does. Choose deliberate discomfort so pressure becomes training. Align words with actions so your brain can trust you. Finish what you start. Repair spirals in time. Practice calm as a skill. Replace old habits. Don't negotiate with them. Winning doesn't mean controlling outcomes. It means controlling yourself within them. Reclaim the 3 levers: attention, interpretation, action. Stop waiting to feel ready. Readiness is the reward for discipline. This is a field manual. Language for pressure, rules that don't bend, practices you can install tomorrow. Start now, at thought, at the speed of choice. Begin today, repeat tomorrow, and let proof replace doubt forever. Train your mind, and your life will follow. Before we begin, if you're done waiting for motivation to find you, hit like. Not for me, for you. And subscribe only if you're serious about building the version you keep talking about. Chapter 1. Own your first hour. The morning mind standard. If you can win your first hour, you can win your entire day. That's not an exaggeration. It's psychology. The first 60 minutes after waking are when your brain is most suggestible, when neural pathways are soft enough to shape direction and identity. What you think, see, and feel in that window primes your attention for the next 16 hours. Most people hand that power away before their feet touch the ground. They reach for their phones, scroll through noise, compare, react, and by the time they stand up, their mind is already running someone else's program. That is how most days are lost. Not through crisis, but through drift. Your first thoughts set your trajectory. They define what you'll tolerate, how fast you'll move, and whether you'll lead or follow. You can't afford to treat that hour casually. It is not a warm-up. It's the opening move in a game that never stops. You must treat the moment you wake as sacred ground, a mental training ground where you decide, before the world can interfere, who you are going to be that day. Start by taking back your first decision. Before you reach for anything, reach for intention. Sit upright. Breathe. Don't think yet. Observe. Your mind will throw noise at you. Yesterday's worry, unfinished tasks, a flash of doubt. Let it pass. This is your first test of control. The untrained mind reacts. The trained one notices and resets. When you can observe your thoughts without obeying them, you've already taken command of your day. Now feed it direction. Speak out loud if you must. Today I lead my thoughts. Today I decide my tone. Today I act on what matters. Words, when aligned with awareness, build neurological momentum. This is not about motivational slogans. It's about cognitive conditioning. Your brain learns through repetition and association. When you pair waking with purpose, you create a cue-response loop that strengthens focus. Over time, clarity becomes automatic. The first hour of the day becomes your mental rehearsal for composure under pressure. You are teaching your nervous system to choose calm over chaos, action over reaction. That training compounds quietly until it feels natural. Keep your environment clean. The space around you mirrors your internal order. A cluttered desk, an unmade bed, open tabs, and scattered notes. They all feed the noise loop. You want precision, not perfection. Remove what distracts your eyes so your thoughts can breathe. Light a candle, open a window, stretch, hydrate. Anchor the senses. Every signal you send your brain in that hour says, "This is how we operate." Alert, deliberate, steady. You'll be tempted to rush, to check messages, to move fast. Slow down. Power doesn't come from speed, it comes from direction. If you can hold stillness when your instincts want motion, you build authority over impulse. That authority is the core of discipline. The strong don't wake up looking for stimulation. They wake up seeking command. They don't start by consuming. They start by creating the internal order that will dictate every choice after. You don't need a complex routine. You need a consistent one. Wake at the same time. Move your body even for 5 minutes. Breathe with intention. Review your plan. Remind yourself what matters and what doesn't. This isn't a checklist. It's a signal to your brain that you're serious about your life. Every time you complete it, you reaffirm your identity. I am someone who leads my day. Some mornings you'll resist. You'll feel tired, distracted, unmotivated. That's the voice of your weaker self asking for control. If you obey it at sunrise, it will run your entire day. But if you confront it, if you rise anyway, you teach your mind a new hierarchy. Feelings report to you, not the other way around. That single decision, getting up when comfort says stay down, is the first rep in building mental strength. Every repetition strengthens the connection between choice and power. Discipline in the first hour eliminates chaos in the next 23. The brain craves order, and when you give it structure early, it conserves energy later. You think clearer, act faster, and recover quicker from setbacks. It's not luck. It's neurological efficiency born from consistency. You'll notice something subtle. As your mornings stabilize, your self-talk changes. Doubt turns to direction. Hesitation turns to momentum. That is your proof that training is working. If you fail one morning, don't spiral, reset. The goal is not perfection, it's pattern. 1 hour reclaimed consistently will change how you perceive time, how you manage emotion, how you face resistance. The first hour is your proof of seriousness, your daily declaration that you are the one setting the tone. Not the noise, not the news, not the mood. From now on, when the alarm sounds, remember, that sound is not an interruption. It's an invitation to command your mind before the world competes for it. No phone, no distraction, no delay, just intention, awareness, and direction. Win that hour, and the day follows your lead. That's how strong minds are built, not in bursts of inspiration, but in quiet, disciplined beginnings. Chapter 2. Protect your focus. The silence advantage. Most people lose their day not because they lack time, but because they leak attention. They mistake movement for progress and noise for purpose. One message, one scroll, one reaction, and their concentration fractures. Once that happens, clarity drains, energy scatters, and the day becomes a sequence of half-finished thoughts. Focus is not endless. It's a limited currency, and the untrained mind spends it recklessly. To protect your focus, you must begin seeing distractions for what they are. Silent thieves. They don't crash through the door. They knock softly, disguised as urgent or quick. But each one fragments your mind a little more. You can't build anything powerful in fragments. Real progress demands depth, hours of uninterrupted clarity where thought can mature into insight. That's the difference between being busy and being effective. Your first step is awareness. Notice how often your attention shifts. Each time you check your phone without purpose, you're conditioning your brain to expect interruption. That pattern lowers your threshold for focus. Your brain begins to crave novelty over depth, dopamine over direction. Break that pattern by reteaching your mind that stillness is safety. When you sit quietly and resist the urge to switch tasks, your nervous system recalibrates. What feels uncomfortable at first soon becomes peace. Next, control your environment. The external world either strengthens your concentration or sabotages it. Cluttered spaces create cognitive noise. Random notifications create anxiety. Even conversations carried by others can plant thoughts that consume your energy. To build a fortress of focus, eliminate entry points. Turn off notifications. Schedule response times instead of living in reaction. Clean your desk, silence devices, close unnecessary tabs. Simplicity is strength. You might tell yourself you can multitask. You can't. No one truly can. Every time you switch between tasks, your brain incurs a reorientation cost. A pause so small you barely notice it, but repeated hundreds of times it destroys depth. Great work requires immersion, and immersion requires isolation. Guard it like it's sacred, because it is. Understand this. Focus is emotional discipline disguised as productivity. It's the act of choosing what matters over what stimulates. It's saying no to 100 small urgencies so you can say yes to one significant pursuit. That no is a boundary between a reactive life and a designed one. When you cut distractions, you are not losing connection. You are regaining control. You are telling your mind, I decide where my attention lives. Begin your day by deciding what deserves your full focus. One priority, not 5. Not a to-do list of 20. One task that defines the rest. Write it down, and when distractions appear, remind yourself, this is the work. If it doesn't serve that focus, it's background noise. The discipline of focus is a form of respect for your time, your craft, and your future. The world will try to convince you that constant availability equals importance. Don't fall for it. The truly powerful are rarely accessible. They are too immersed in creation. The louder the world gets, the more valuable silence becomes. Silence is not emptiness. It's concentration unpolluted by noise. It's where your best ideas are born. There's also a psychological dimension. Attention builds identity. What you focus on repeatedly becomes your reality. Feed your mind triviality, and you will think trivial thoughts. Feed it direction, and you will begin to see through confusion. Focus is not just what you do, it's who you become. If you want to rise above the average, protect your focus like it's your last resource. Create daily no-access zones, periods when you are unreachable. No messages, no notifications, no external demands. Those blocks of solitude are where momentum is built. They teach your brain to stay with a thought long enough for it to evolve. That is the foundation of mastery. You will face resistance. The world rewards reaction and punishes stillness. Your mind, addicted to stimulation, will protest. It will whisper that you're missing out. Ignore it. Every minute you stay present is a minute you reclaim from chaos. Every time you say no to noise, you say yes to depth. Over time, that depth compounds into results no distracted person can match. Focus is the new wealth. It cannot be inherited or faked. It is earned by discipline, by silence, by subtraction. And the reward is freedom, the ability to move through each day unshaken, undistracted, and unbent by what does not matter. That is the silence advantage. When others chase attention, you build power. When others drown in noise, you create clarity. Chapter 3. Seek discomfort daily, building toughness through controlled pressure. Growth is not born in comfort. It's forged in discomfort. The deliberate kind you choose before life forces it on you. Most people wait for pressure to arrive, then collapse under its weight. Winners manufacture their own. They treat discomfort as training, not punishment. The difference between those two perceptions determines how far you rise. Your mind learns endurance the same way your body learns strength, through resistance. Every time you face something that stretches you and stay present inside it, you upgrade your capacity for life. That capacity isn't emotional numbness. It's controlled awareness under pressure. It's learning to stay clear while every instinct wants to run. If you avoid discomfort, you also avoid growth. You stay safe, but you stay small. Understand the psychology behind this. The brain is designed to protect you, not to progress you. Its default command is safety, not success. When something feels hard, your nervous system interprets it as danger. But most modern danger is not survival-based. It's ego-based. Fear of failure, rejection, exposure. If you obey those signals, you teach your brain that avoidance equals safety, and it will keep shrinking your world. But when you step into the discomfort on purpose, when you act in spite of tension, you reprogram that circuitry. You teach your system that challenge equals growth, not threat. Over time, pressure stops feeling like danger. It starts feeling like power. Start small. Take one action each day that interrupts your comfort. That might mean finishing the rep after fatigue, making the call you've been avoiding, speaking the truth when silence feels safer, or studying when you'd rather scroll. These are not random hardships. They're intentional friction. Each one is a controlled fire designed to temper your mental steel. The goal isn't pain, it's proof. Proof that you can lead yourself through resistance. Proof that you can stay composed when life gets inconvenient. The mind trained in comfort becomes fragile. The mind trained in discomfort becomes unbreakable. Toughness is not a trait you're born with. It's a pattern of behavior reinforced through small wins under pressure. Think of every moment of strain as a psychological repetition. Each one builds tolerance. Each one builds identity. There's science behind this. When you voluntarily face stress, your brain releases neurochemicals that strengthen neural connections linked to resilience. Your confidence doesn't grow because everything gets easier. It grows because you become capable of handling what isn't. That's the secret the average never learn. Toughness is less about hardness and more about adaptability. It's the art of bending without breaking, adjusting without quitting. Discomfort also exposes your truth. When things get hard, you meet yourself without disguise. You see where your excuses live. You hear the voice that talks you out of progress. That awareness is priceless. It's feedback you can't buy, only earn through confrontation. Weak minds hide from that mirror. Strong minds study it. Make it a practice. Every morning ask, what will challenge me today? Then choose one discomfort intentionally. Don't wait for motivation. Initiate resistance. It could be physical training, a difficult conversation, an uncomfortable discipline like journaling or public speaking. The form doesn't matter. The act of choosing does. Every day you choose discomfort, you're proving that your comfort zone no longer commands you. You'll notice something shift. Tasks that once drained you will feel lighter. Conversations that once terrified you will become manageable. That's adaptation. That's your new baseline rising. The same discomfort that used to paralyze you will soon be your normal. That's how confidence is built. Not by eliminating fear, but by operating effectively despite it. The world belongs to those who train for tension. Most people negotiate with resistance. They start strong, fade fast, and call it balance. But balance without growth is stagnation. You need strain. You need moments that test your limits and sharpen your edges. Comfort softens the edges that make you effective. Pressure shapes them back into strength. There's a stoic truth here. The obstacle is not your enemy, it's your instructor. Each challenge reveals the next level of yourself. Each discomfort is an invitation to build character. You are not meant to escape pressure. You are meant to evolve through it. Don't chase suffering for its own sake. Choose strategic discomfort, the kind that builds, not breaks. Learn to differentiate chaos from challenge. Chaos destroys focus. Challenge refines it. When life delivers chaos, use your trained calm to create order. When life offers challenges, step toward it with intent. The more you practice, the more pressure becomes familiar terrain. And familiarity breeds composure. Remember, every act of comfort today is a tax on tomorrow's strength. Every deliberate discomfort is an investment in resilience. You get to choose which you pay. So when you wake tomorrow, look for the friction that stretches you. Lean into it. Don't run. Don't rationalize. Move through it. Because every day you do, you're not just getting tougher. You're proving to yourself that no situation can own you again. That's how toughness is built. One deliberate discomfort at a time. Chapter 4. Speak with integrity, align words and actions. Powerful minds and weak ones are separated by a simple habit. What they say, they do. Every time you speak a promise and follow through, you strengthen the bridge between thought and reality. Every time you break it, that bridge cracks. Over time, the cracks become your character. Your words either reinforce your identity or erode it. There is no neutral ground. Integrity is not moral decoration. It's mental architecture. When your words and actions align, your brain stops doubting itself. You move cleaner, think faster, and waste no energy on internal debate. But when you speak without follow-through, your subconscious stops believing you. You say you'll wake early, but you don't. You say you'll quit the habit, but you continue. Each broken word is a vote for inconsistency, and inconsistency destroys confidence from within. Think of every statement as a command to your nervous system. If the command is false, the system stops listening. That's why people lose discipline. It's not a lack of willpower, it's a lack of credibility with themselves. You cannot lead a mind that doesn't trust its own orders. From this point forward, treat your language like currency. Spend it only on what you intend to honor. Don't make promises out of emotion or impulse. Don't commit just to appear agreeable. Say less, but mean every word you say. Precision of speech leads to precision of mind. It sharpens thought, reduces chaos, and builds presence. People who talk loosely live loosely. People whose words are measured live with direction. Before you speak, ask 2 questions. Do I mean this? And am I ready to prove it? If the answer to either is no, stay silent. Silence is strength when it prevents self-betrayal. Because once your words leave your mouth, your integrity is on the line. And the world remembers inconsistency even when you try to forget it. Living with integrity is not about impressing others. It's about stabilizing yourself. Every fulfilled promise becomes a psychological anchor that tells your brain, I follow through. That anchor holds steady under pressure. You hesitate less, doubt less, overthink less, because your past behavior has trained you to trust your future action. There's neuroscience behind this. Each time you complete what you declare, your brain releases dopamine, a chemical reward not just for success, but for congruence. The body recognizes alignment as safety. That's why consistent people feel calm even under chaos. Their nervous system associates follow-through with control. Integrity also defines influence. The world doesn't listen to the loudest voice. It listens to the most consistent one. You can't fake authenticity. It's felt, not performed. When people sense your words match your actions, your presence gains weight. You won't need to demand respect. It will arrive uninvited. But if your actions contradict your words, even a whisper of inconsistency will dissolve that respect faster than any mistake ever could. To live this way, you must accept discipline as non-negotiable. Integrity demands sacrifice, comfort, excuses, and sometimes relationships built on illusion. It means showing up when no one checks, finishing when no one notices, telling the truth when lying would be easier. You won't always be praised for it, but your peace will multiply. You'll walk lighter because there's nothing left to hide. And when you fail, and you will, own it immediately. No defense, no delay. The quicker you claim responsibility, the faster your integrity repairs. Accountability restores strength faster than avoidance ever could. Admit the truth, fix it, and move forward. That's how trust grows stronger after a break. It's rebuilt on honesty, not image. A person who means what they say becomes unshakable because they no longer live in contradiction. Their mind is clear, their path is direct. They don't need motivation to act. Their own word is enough. That is the ultimate discipline. The ability to follow your own instruction without negotiation. So from now on, watch your speech. Speak less, promise rarely, deliver always. Each action that matches your word becomes another brick in the foundation of mental power. Eventually, this becomes instinct. You speak clearly, act quickly, and move without inner conflict. That clarity radiates through your presence. You no longer chase credibility. You embody it. Say what you mean what you say. Live like your word is law. Because when your language aligns with your life, you stop performing and start leading. That's how integrity becomes strength. Chapter 5. Finish what you start. Completion as identity. Starting is easy. It gives you a burst of excitement, a rush of novelty. But finishing, that's where character is revealed. Most people live trapped in half-built bridges. Projects started with passion, but abandoned in fatigue. Promises made in confidence, but broken in silence. They call it burnout, distraction, or bad timing. But underneath it all, it's the same disease: mental fragmentation, a pattern of beginning more than they complete. Every time you quit halfway, your mind remembers. It stores that pattern as evidence that you cannot be trusted to follow through. The next time you face resistance, the subconscious whispers, "You never finish anyway." That whisper becomes prophecy. Finishing, then, isn't just about results. It's about rewiring identity. When you complete what you start, you are telling your brain, "I can rely on myself." That reliability compounds into strength. Discipline is not forged by inspiration. It's forged by closure. The act of finishing builds integrity at the molecular level. Each task completed sends a signal of coherence through your system. What I say, I do. What I begin, I end. That message doesn't need applause to matter. It's the repetition of closure that turns discipline into instinct. Psychologists call this the Zeigarnik effect. The mind remembers incomplete tasks more vividly than completed ones. Every unfinished thing consumes mental bandwidth. It hums quietly in the background, draining energy you don't even notice. Finishing frees that energy. It declutters the psyche, giving you bandwidth for depth. You don't need another productivity hack. You need completion. Completion doesn't always mean perfection. It means honoring the process until it reaches its natural end. Sometimes that end is mastery. Sometimes it's learning what doesn't work. But quitting before clarity is self-sabotage disguised as relief. You're not just stopping an action. You're teaching your brain that discomfort ends progress. The moment you give in, your tolerance for challenge shrinks. Here's the truth. Finishing is rarely glamorous. It's often boring, repetitive, inconvenient. But those quiet, dull repetitions are the crucible of greatness. The world remembers the result. Your growth happens in the grind. The strength you build while pushing through monotony becomes the confidence that sustains you when pressure returns. Make it a rule. If you start, you finish. If you commit, you complete. Not because anyone demands it, but because that standard defines you. Each completion is a vote for consistency, and consistency compounds faster than intensity ever will. When the excitement fades, and it always will, expect the resistance to rise. That's your training ground. The moment your mind says, "It doesn't matter anymore," that's when it matters most. Push one more round, write one more paragraph, finish one more repetition. It's not the task itself that's important. It's the identity you are reinforcing. Finishing also transforms how others perceive you. The world trusts people who finish. Their reputation becomes quiet currency. They don't need to prove reliability. Their work speaks for them. But more importantly, you begin to trust yourself. And self-trust is worth more than validation from anyone else. If you've been a chronic starter, stop judging yourself. Judgment traps you in the same pattern. Instead, start finishing small. One email draft, one workout, one plan followed to the end. Each completion reprograms your identity. You're building momentum through closure, and that momentum is contagious. It spills into every domain of your life. Here's a technique. When you want to quit, visualize the version of you who finishes. See their posture, their calm, their certainty. That's not a fantasy. That's your potential waiting for evidence. Give it to them. Finish once, then again. Then make it your norm. And when you stumble or fail midway, finish the recovery. Don't abandon yourself because you slipped. Return, adjust, complete. The act of returning is itself a form of finishing, an inner declaration that you don't leave loose ends, even within your own growth. Finishing is freedom. It frees you from the noise of unkept promises, from the fatigue of constant restarts. It simplifies life into clean lines. Start, persist, complete. That's mastery. Not dramatic breakthroughs, not motivational highs, just consistent closure. So the next time you begin, seal it with intent. I finish what I start. Not because it's easy, not because it's fast, but because my identity depends on it. That sentence, lived daily, is what separates the dependable from the drifting, the disciplined from the distracted. Finish the task. Finish the habit. Finish the version of you who always stops short. Completion is not just an act. It's a declaration of who you are becoming. Chapter 6. Fix your mindset. Strength under failure. It's easy to be centered when life cooperates. It's easy to stay calm when things go as planned. But that's not where strength is built. Strength is built in the dark hours, the moments when everything breaks, when plans collapse, when you feel small and uncertain. What you think in those moments determines everything that follows. When pressure hits, most people default to emotion. They panic, complain, or look for someone to blame. Their mind becomes a storm of reaction. But emotion without awareness is the quickest way to lose direction. You cannot fight chaos with chaos. You fight it with clarity. And clarity begins by fixing the way you think when everything goes wrong. Your first responsibility under pressure is not to fix the situation. It's to fix your perception of it. You have to pause and ask, what's real here? What can I control? What story am I telling myself right now? The questions rewire your focus. They shift you from helplessness to ownership. A strong mind doesn't deny emotion. It directs it. It allows the feeling but refuses to be led by it. Understand this. The situation itself is neutral. The meaning you assign to it is what gives it power. Most people live as slaves to interpretation. Something happens, they label it failure, and immediately their energy collapses. But failure is data, not doom. It's a mirror reflecting where you need refinement. The moment you stop treating setbacks as personal verdicts, they become tools for recalibration. Cognitive psychology calls this reframing. The brain cannot distinguish between external threat and mental narrative. When you label an event as disaster, your body reacts accordingly. Heart rate spikes, cortisol rises, thinking narrows. But when you label it as training, your physiology changes. Focus sharpens. Creativity returns. The power of mindset is not poetic. It's biological. Your body obeys your interpretation. The mature mind doesn't wait for calm conditions. It trains itself to stay functional in chaos. That means practicing recovery mid-crisis, breathing before reacting, observing before deciding, thinking before speaking. Each pause builds internal space. In that space, choice lives. Weakness acts immediately. Strength waits half a second longer. That half second is evolution. To fix your mindset, you must also fix your language. The words you use when describing struggle define your psychological reality. Stop saying, "I can't handle this." Say, "This is heavy, but I'm learning to carry it." Stop saying, "Everything's falling apart." Say, "Everything is shifting, and I will find structure." You're not lying to yourself. You're choosing language that keeps you capable. The mind trained in precision of speech becomes a fortress. There's a discipline in crisis. Refuse dramatics. Dramatics waste energy you need for action. When your mind screams panic, answer with process. When everything feels urgent, slow down. Review facts. Identify what's controllable. Move one piece at a time. The illusion of control fades, but control of self is always available. Every great leader, athlete, or thinker you admire mastered this. Emotional regulation under pressure. They didn't eliminate emotion. They domesticated it. They learned to convert intensity into strategy. That's the true measure of mental toughness. Not the absence of feeling, but the ability to feel deeply and still move deliberately. When you face failure, remind yourself, this is training. The pain is feedback. The confusion is the classroom. The setback is the exam. Your response is the grade. Every time you face difficulty, you are being given the opportunity to strengthen your internal operating system. Handle it consciously, and your resilience compounds. Handle it reactively, and your weakness deepens. Here's a ritual. The next time things fall apart, sit still for 60 seconds. No movement, no fixing. Just observe. Notice your thoughts, your heartbeat, the pull to react. Then speak one sentence of truth. I am not broken. I am being built. That shift, from chaos to construction, changes how your brain frames challenge. Over time, this practice trains composure until it becomes instinct. Fixing your mindset isn't a one-time repair. It's ongoing maintenance. Life will always find new ways to test your stability. But every test is a chance to upgrade your mental architecture. You either collapse and repeat, or you adapt and rise. The choice will always belong to you. So when failure comes, and it will, meet it with posture. Not arrogance, not denial, but steady presence. Breathe, reframe, focus, act. Do it once and you survive. Do it consistently and you evolve. That's the process that turns pressure into preparation. A storm doesn't destroy a well-built structure. It reveals its strength. The same is true for you. Fix your mindset, and no storm will ever own you again. Chapter 7. Train calmness under pressure. The strategic mind. When pressure arrives, most people react. They tighten, rush, speak too soon, or freeze. They confuse motion with control. But calmness is not the absence of pressure. It's command within it. Calmness is your ability to think clearly while the world shakes. It is not natural. It must be trained. Pressure has a language, and calm is how you translate it. The untrained mind interprets pressure as panic. The trained mind translates pressure into focus. To build that skill, you must begin long before crisis appears. You have to practice staying still in small moments. Traffic, delay, conflict, cold silence. Because how you handle the small stress determines how you handle the big one. If you can't stay calm when your phone freezes, you won't stay calm when your life does. Every time you feel tension rising, you have two choices: react automatically or respond deliberately. Reaction is emotional reflex. Response is mental strategy. That gap between them, the pause, is where composure is built. In that space, awareness replaces instinct. The longer you can hold that space, the stronger your control. The body reacts first. Pressure triggers adrenaline, elevates your heart rate, speeds your breath, narrows your vision. These are survival mechanisms, but they also narrow intelligence. To lead under pressure, you must regulate physiology before you regulate thought. Start with breath. Slow, deep, measured. Inhale, calm. Exhale, control. You are telling your body, we are safe enough to think. Once your breathing slows, your focus returns. Calmness under stress is not weakness, it's mastery. It signals your mind that you can operate without panic. Great performers, surgeons, pilots, athletes train this deliberately. They run high-pressure drills until composure becomes instinct. You can do the same. Use daily irritations as rehearsal. Someone cuts you off in traffic? Practice stillness. A message provokes you? Wait 60 seconds before replying. A project falls apart? Focus on what's controllable instead of dramatizing what isn't. Each repetition builds neural endurance. Your calmness also influences others. Energy is contagious. In chaos, the most composed person leads, not by title but by presence. When you stay grounded, people around you recalibrate. They borrow your steadiness. That's the hidden advantage of emotional control. It multiplies. You become the anchor in the storm, and anchors are remembered long after noise fades. To train calmness, you must confront your triggers. Write them down. Which situations, people, or thoughts make you lose your center? Don't avoid them. Study them. Exposure with awareness builds tolerance. Avoidance builds fragility. Meet small doses of stress until your mind adapts. This is stress inoculation, controlled exposure to discomfort that strengthens future composure. You also need to change your perspective on tension. Pressure is information. It reveals what you value and where you still need training. Instead of saying, "I'm stressed," say, "I'm sensing importance." That reframe removes fear and replaces it with direction. Stress then becomes signal, not sabotage. In moments of intensity, focus on procedure, not panic. Ask yourself, what is the next right move? Don't plan the entire solution, just the next step. Calmness isn't about knowing everything. It's about not needing to. The brain under stress wants to control the future. Calmness reminds it to control the present. When you make this your way of thinking, a transformation occurs. Pressure no longer feels like something happening to you. It feels like something moving through you. It's energy, neutral and powerful, waiting for direction. The untrained waste it through fear. The trained channel it into clarity. You will still feel anxiety. You will still feel doubt. But calmness doesn't mean absence of emotion. It means mastery of energy. It's choosing not to let adrenaline write your decisions. When fear shouts, you whisper back with reason. When urgency demands reaction, you choose precision. That decision is invisible but monumental. With enough practice, your baseline changes. The same situations that used to overwhelm you now challenge you to sharpen. You become a student of pressure, not a victim of it. Calm becomes your default. You no longer need to force composure. It flows naturally because you've trained your system to stay stable inside instability. And when you fail, when you snap, yell, or break down, don't judge yourself. Recover fast. Reflection is part of training. Ask what triggered you, what thought took over, and how you'll intercept it next time. Each reset strengthens your emotional agility. The goal is not perfection, it's resilience, the speed at which you return to balance. Eventually, calmness becomes your edge. You'll notice that people trust your decisions more. Opportunities find you. Chaos doesn't scare you. You start moving through life like a strategist, not a reactor. And that's when you realize, calm isn't passive. It's power restrained, focused, and precise. Train it daily. In small conflicts, in silent moments, in unexpected tension. Every breath under control is a rehearsal for the storms ahead. And when those storms come, you won't need to tell anyone you're ready. Your calm will say it for you. Chapter 8. Choose better habits when old patterns return. Your old habits will come back. They always do. Change doesn't erase them. It just builds new ones strong enough to replace their command. Those patterns are wired deep in your brain, waiting for fatigue, stress, or doubt to bring them back to life. They whisper, "Take it easy. Skip it today. You've done enough." That voice isn't weakness. It's history. It's the echo of the person you used to be, testing whether the new you is real. The untrained mind believes the test means failure. The trained mind knows it means progress. Growth triggers resistance. It's a sign that your brain is adjusting to new standards. When that resistance appears, don't shame yourself. Recognize it, name it, and then choose again. That's how reprogramming begins. Understand how habits actually work. Each one has 3 parts: cue, routine, reward. The cue triggers an action. The action satisfies a craving. The reward reinforces the loop. Old habits stay alive because the brain still believes they keep you safe. You can't just delete them. You must replace the routine with something more aligned. Substitution beats suppression. Example: when stress hits, your cue might be tension. Your old routine might be escape. Scrolling, eating, complaining. The reward is relief. To change the pattern, you keep the cue but swap the routine. Replace escape with breathing, with journaling, with a walk outside. Keep the reward of calm, but earn it through a behavior that builds rather than breaks you. Each time you choose differently, your neural wiring shifts. Over weeks, the old pattern fades from disuse. You're not weak for feeling the pull of the past. You're human. The brain prefers familiarity over improvement. It's energy efficient. That's why relapse doesn't mean failure. It means you're still training. You don't fix yourself once. You fix yourself daily. The work is repetition, not perfection. Start watching your behavior like a strategist, not a critic. Notice your triggers. What times of day, what emotions, what people make the old habit show up? Write them down. Awareness turns reaction into response. Once you can predict the pattern, you can preempt it. You can set traps for your old self. Here's an example of a simple strategy. Identify the cue, "I feel anxious." Interrupt the routine. Instead of reaching for my phone, I'll breathe for 30 seconds. Replace with an aligned action. I'll write one line about what I can control. Reward yourself mentally. I just led my mind instead of following it. Do this enough times, and your identity evolves. You stop saying, "I'm trying to change," and start saying, "This is who I am now." That sentence is powerful because identity always wins over discipline. When you see yourself as someone who chooses growth, the effort required to stay consistent decreases. But don't confuse identity with ego. Ego demands perfection. Identity focuses on direction. You will slip. Everyone does. The difference between those who grow and those who don't is what happens next. The weak dwell in shame. The strong reset immediately. They correct, not collapse. Every quick recovery teaches your brain that falling isn't final. Protect your new habits like a seedling. In the beginning, they're fragile. They can't yet survive constant exposure to temptation. So simplify your environment. Remove triggers. Build cues that support you. Place your journal where you'll see it first thing. Set reminders for your workouts. Schedule reflection time. Systems sustain change better than willpower ever will. Remember, the moment your old patterns show up is not a setback. It's the arena. That's where transformation happens. You don't become strong by avoiding the fight. You become strong by showing up for it every time. The pull of the old self will lessen, not disappear, and that's good. It keeps you sharp. It keeps you humble. Each time you win that small battle, something inside you solidifies. Confidence grows quietly. You stop feeling like you're pretending to be disciplined and start feeling like discipline is just who you are. That's identity shift, the invisible milestone that separates those who change temporarily from those who change permanently. So when your past knocks, don't hide from it. Answer the door. Look it in the eye and say, "Not this time." Then do the next right thing. Again tomorrow. Again the next day. Until the habit that once ruled you becomes the memory that built you. That's how real transformation works. Not in loud declarations, but in quiet replacements. Chapter 9. Do the right thing even when no one cares. Character in the dark. Doing the right thing when everyone is watching earns applause. Doing it when no one notices builds character. It's easy to act with integrity under a spotlight. The challenge is what you choose in silence. When there's no reward, no witness, and no visible consequence. That's where your real strength is tested. Every decision you make alone defines the structure of your inner life. When you take shortcuts in private, your mind registers it. You may not speak it, but your subconscious does. Each small betrayal of your standards weakens the mental framework you've built, and each act of quiet discipline reinforces it. The mind keeps score long after the world forgets. We live in a culture obsessed with visibility. People want credit, acknowledgement, validation. But the truth is that real growth happens in the invisible hours, the nights you stay focused while others sleep, the moments you choose truth over convenience, the decisions you make when nobody is checking. You cannot fake that. You either live by a standard or you perform for approval. Doing what's right in silence builds an unshakable kind of confidence. Not the loud, external kind that depends on recognition, but the silent assurance that you know who you are. You move through the world lighter, clearer, more grounded, because you're not divided between who you show and who you are. That alignment breeds peace. Each day gives you opportunities to prove it. Small, ordinary moments. Return the cart, finish the task. Correct the mistake even if it costs you. Resist gossip when it would be easy to join. Nobody may see it, but those actions accumulate. Over time, they form the invisible infrastructure of your mind, a reputation with yourself. Understand the psychology of this. When your internal actions and your external identity match, your brain relaxes. There's no cognitive dissonance. No energy wasted maintaining a mask. That energy becomes focus. That focus becomes performance. The person who lives with integrity doesn't waste time pretending. They spend it producing. It's not about moral superiority. It's about strength. Because when you practice integrity in silence, you train your mind to obey your values instead of your moods. You become immune to manipulation. You stop needing the crowd's approval to do what's right. That kind of independence is rare and powerful. There will be moments when it feels pointless, when your effort goes unseen. But that's when you remind yourself, you are not doing it for credit. You are doing it to fortify your foundation, to live in a way that allows you to look in the mirror without flinching. Applause fades, integrity compounds. When no one's watching, that's when your habits speak. When no one's listening, that's when your self-talk echoes. And when no one cares, that's when your purpose is revealed. Doing the right thing in the dark builds a strength that daylight can't test. It's the discipline of showing up for yourself when nobody claps. This mindset shifts everything. You stop measuring success by reaction and start measuring it by alignment. You stop performing and start practicing. And the people who live this way eventually become unshakable. Not because they never fail, but because their foundation doesn't depend on applause. Make it your code. I do the right thing even when it's quiet. Hold yourself to that line. When temptation whispers shortcuts, remember that nobody truly gets away with anything. Your mind records every compromise. Your energy knows the truth. And if you keep breaking your own code, you will always feel unsteady no matter how much you achieve. Integrity is a private victory before it ever becomes a public strength. Win it daily. Make it routine. Clean up what others ignore. Honor commitments no one checks. Fix what you break. Speak truth even when silence would protect your comfort. That's not perfection, it's discipline. One day, when life tests you in public, you won't need to prepare. You'll simply act according to what you've already rehearsed in private. The decision will be automatic because your character has been conditioned. That's the gift of living with standards. So keep doing the right thing, especially when it feels like no one cares. Because every unseen decision builds an internal empire that no external force can destroy. The applause will come and go, but the quiet respect you earn from yourself, that's permanent. Chapter 10. Repeat the basics daily, the power of repetition. Most people are addicted to novelty. They chase new methods, new hacks, new systems, anything that feels exciting enough to mask their inconsistency. But mastery is not about what's new. It's about what's repeated. The strongest minds aren't the ones who constantly change strategy. They're the ones who execute the fundamentals until those fundamentals become instinct. Your life will always move in the direction of what you repeat. The small things you do daily carve your identity more than the big things you do occasionally. Winners understand this. They don't ask for motivation. They ask for rhythm. They find the few essential actions that sustain clarity, and they do them relentlessly, especially when it's boring. Repetition builds reliability. Every time you repeat a disciplined act, your brain learns to expect it, to crave it. That's how habits become automatic, through consistent exposure, not intensity. The neural pathways that control focus and perseverance strengthen only when you keep showing up for the same actions, again and again. The basics never stop working. Waking up early, moving your body, feeding your mind the right input, journaling your thoughts, reviewing your plan, cleaning your space, protecting your focus. These are not glamorous tasks. But each one acts like a structural beam supporting your mental architecture. When you neglect them, the entire structure wobbles. Your mind is not built through inspiration. It's built through repetition. Every repetition is proof of discipline, and discipline is proof of identity. The act of showing up, even when you don't feel like it, tells your subconscious that your feelings no longer make decisions for you. That's freedom, when emotion becomes secondary to execution. Think of the basics as calibration points. Every day they bring you back to balance. Without them, you drift into chaos. With them, you return to center. You don't have to perfect them. You have to preserve them. Even on your worst days, anchor yourself in one fundamental. Don't let difficulty disconnect you from your structure. Repetition also builds confidence quietly. You don't wake up one day feeling powerful. You look back and realize you've been consistent long enough that power has become your default. The daily rituals that once felt heavy start to feel necessary. That's the invisible transition from discipline to identity. People will tell you to switch things up, but too much switching creates instability. The mind thrives on rhythm. The more predictable your positive behaviors, the less mental energy they cost. This is why great athletes and creators ritualize their routines. They conserve energy for performance, not decision-making. You don't need endless variety. You need strong repetition of what matters. When boredom creeps in, understand that boredom is the final gate before transformation. The brain resists monotony because it associates repetition with stagnation, not realizing that it's the only path to automation. Push through that boredom. On the other side lies fluency, the point where effort disappears and excellence begins. You must also protect the quality of your basics. Repetition without awareness turns into mechanical behavior. You're not here to go through the motions. You're here to go through mastery. When you repeat, repeat consciously. Feel it. Mean it. Track your small improvements. Precision matters as much as persistence. Make a simple framework. 3 non-negotiables daily. 1 for your body, 1 for your mind, 1 for your mission. Do them every day, no matter the mood. The list doesn't need to grow. It needs to solidify. Consistency is not about adding. It's about anchoring. And when you fall off track, return without drama. Don't restart the whole plan. Restart the basics. That's how professionals recover faster than amateurs. They know that success isn't built from grand restarts, but from steady returns. In a world obsessed with shortcuts, repetition feels outdated. But that's why it works. Few are patient enough to practice it. Repetition is what makes mastery rare. It's what turns effort into evidence, skill into instinct, practice into power. Remember this: discipline is doing it once. Mastery is doing it forever. Every time you repeat a fundamental, you engrave strength into your identity. Eventually, the basics stop feeling like effort and start feeling like breathing. That's when you've won. Not because life got easier, but because you did. So stop searching for something new to save you. Return to what works. Repeat it until it becomes you. Because repetition isn't monotony. It's momentum in disguise. Conclusion: the unbreakable mind. In the end, it all comes back to one truth. Your outer life is a mirror of your inner discipline. Everything you've built through these chapters, clarity, focus, resilience, calmness, consistency, exists to serve one mission: to make your mind unbreakable. Because when your mind is trained, life stops happening to you and starts moving through you. The world will always test your structure. Distractions will call, comfort will tempt, fear will whisper, and failure will visit. You cannot eliminate them, but you can outgrow them. The difference between those who rise and those who remain is not talent, it's self-leadership. The ability to direct your energy with precision no matter the noise around you. Training your mind to win isn't about perfection or positivity. It's about neutrality, being calm in chaos, focused in fatigue, firm in uncertainty. It's about creating an inner stillness so strong that no storm can move it. You are not chasing control over the world. You're mastering control over yourself. That is the ultimate power. Understand this: strength is not built in comfort. It's built in repetition, in the unseen hours, in the tiny choices where no one applauds you. Every time you rise early, protect your focus, choose discipline over ease, act with integrity, and finish what you start. You're layering steel into your spirit. Those layers compound into unshakable presence. And when you look around, and see others distracted, complaining, or quitting, don't compare. Their path is noise. Yours is structure. True mastery has nothing to prove. It doesn't announce itself. It shows up in your energy, your posture, your decisions. People will feel it long before they understand it. The mind you've trained becomes your silent armor. It won't stop challenges from coming, but it will decide how deeply they affect you. It will keep you stable while others crumble, patient while others panic, driven while others delay. That's what makes you different. That's what makes you capable. There will be days you doubt this work, days when results feel far away. On those days, remind yourself, this is the process. Growth happens slowly, then suddenly. The results appear long after the repetition. Trust that delay. Every moment you choose strength over ease, you're reshaping your future in real time. Don't wait for a perfect moment to prove what you've built. The proof is already in how you think, how you speak, how you move. You no longer need motivation to begin. You've become the kind of person who begins anyway. That is the quiet transformation. So as this audiobook ends, your real training begins. Protect your mind like it's your greatest asset, because it is. Feed it what's true, challenge it daily, keep it sharp, and refuse to let it drift into weakness. You've learned how to own your mornings, how to guard your focus, how to move through pressure, and how to live by standards that do not bend. Now live it, not for applause, not for proof, but for peace, the kind that comes from knowing you've become solid inside. Because once your mind is built, everything else follows. You don't need to chase strength anymore. You've created it, and that kind of strength doesn't fade. It leads. Chapter 11. Raise your standard, the point where ordinary ends. Every breakthrough in your life begins with a decision to raise your standard, not your goals, not your dreams, your standards. The invisible line that defines what you tolerate, what you chase, and what you refuse to settle for. Most people never change because their standards stay soft. They say they want more, but their daily behavior reveals otherwise. They keep habits that don't serve them. They keep company that drains them. They keep stories that excuse them. You can't build an extraordinary life while living by ordinary rules. Your standard is the boundary between the person you are and the person you're meant to become. And here's the truth. You don't rise to your ambitions. You fall to your standards. Every time. Look at any high performer. Their results aren't magic. They simply decided that certain things are no longer acceptable. Mediocrity, laziness, inconsistency, self-doubt. They stopped negotiating with them. Because once you stop negotiating with weakness, you start aligning with power. Raising your standard begins with brutal honesty. You must look at your life without excuses. Where are you playing small? Where do you keep saying it's fine when you know it's not? Where do you show up halfway and still expect full results? This confrontation is uncomfortable, but it's necessary. You can't transform what you won't confront. Most people wait until pain forces them to raise the bar. After failure, heartbreak, or loss. Don't wait for pain. Choose pressure. Create demand within yourself before life demands it from you. That's leadership. That's maturity. A higher standard means you no longer depend on moods to act. It means your word becomes law to yourself. When you say you'll do something, it's done. Not because it's easy, but because your identity doesn't allow you to break your own code. Raising your standard also means upgrading your environment. Your mind adapts to the energy it's surrounded by. If everyone around you is comfortable staying average, soon you will be too. You can't fly in a cage built by others' limits. Choose proximity to people who challenge your thinking, not just comfort your ego. Let their discipline irritate your excuses. Let their clarity expose your distractions. But remember, raising your standard isn't about perfection or comparison. It's about alignment. It's about closing the gap between your words and your actions until they're indistinguishable. When you raise your standard, everything shifts. Your conversations change because gossip no longer interests you. Your habits change because comfort starts to feel like danger. Your energy changes because you no longer feed what weakens you. You start to walk differently, think differently, speak differently. Not because you're pretending to be better, but because you've decided to expect better from yourself. And the world responds to that energy. Opportunities start matching your new vibration. People treat you the way you treat yourself. Life stops testing you with the same lessons because you've finally learned to act from a higher level. Here's the paradox. Raising your standard doesn't make life easier. It makes you stronger. You'll lose people who liked your lower version. You'll lose habits that once felt comforting. You'll lose the illusion of balance that came from avoiding growth. But you'll gain power. You'll gain direction. You'll gain the kind of peace that comes from living aligned with truth. There's a mental shift that happens when your standard rises. You stop saying, "I hope it works," and start saying, "I'll make it work." You stop saying, "I'll try," and start saying, "I'll commit." You stop waiting for motivation and start moving because you've built momentum. That's what separates the average from the exceptional. Not luck, not privilege, standards. If you want to change your results, don't just adjust your schedule, raise your minimums. Make excellence your default. Make discipline your baseline. Make integrity non-negotiable. When average people get tired, they stop. When you get tired, you keep your word. That's the new rule. You'll know your standard has truly shifted when the things that used to impress you now feel small, and the things that once felt hard now feel normal. That's evolution. That's proof your system has leveled up. So today, draw the line. Decide what no longer fits the future you're building. Decide what kind of behavior, thinking, and energy you'll never tolerate again, even from yourself. Then live it, relentlessly. Because when you raise your standard, you raise your life. Everything begins to reorganize around that new expectation. It's not arrogance. It's alignment with your potential. And once you've seen what you're capable of, you'll never want to go back. Chapter 12. Become your own competition. Evolve daily. The person you need to compete with is not out there. It's the one staring back at you in the mirror every morning. The version of you that wants to stay comfortable, that wants to delay, that wants to do just enough. That's your real opponent, and you face them every single day. Most people waste their energy comparing themselves to others, measuring their worth against timelines that don't belong to them. But comparison is a thief. It steals focus from where it matters most. Your own evolution. The real victory comes when you close the gap between who you were yesterday and who you're becoming today. Being your own competition means you wake up with one clear goal: to outperform the previous version of yourself, to think clearer, act faster, work smarter, speak truth louder, and live closer to your principles than you did yesterday. Every day becomes a new round of training, not for applause, but for refinement. Self-competition builds direction. It keeps your ambition internal, where it belongs. Because when your measure of success depends on someone else's pace, you lose control of your power. You're no longer leading your journey. You're reacting to theirs. A strong mind doesn't chase comparison. It creates contrast. It studies its past self like a scientist. Ask yourself daily, what thought held me back yesterday? What excuse did I use to delay progress? What pattern am I still repeating that no longer fits my goals? Answer those questions honestly, then adjust. That's how you evolve consciously, not by luck, but by awareness. Remember, evolution is subtle. You won't feel transformed overnight. Progress often hides inside repetition, in the choices that don't look dramatic. You'll feel the shift not through applause, but through calm. The kind of calm that comes when you realize you no longer need to prove anything to anyone but yourself. Competing with yourself also eliminates the poison of envy. You start respecting other people's success without letting it shrink your own. You see their wins as evidence that better is possible, not proof that you're behind. That's maturity. The point where admiration replaces comparison and collaboration replaces competition. But self-competition isn't about constant exhaustion. It's about deliberate growth. It's about precision, not pressure. There's a difference between progress and punishment. Growth is sustainable. Punishment burns out. You evolve through alignment, not aggression. So train your focus, not just your output. Some days, the best version of you will work 12 hours. Some days, it will rest intentionally. Either way, the standard remains. You move with purpose. You refine your craft. You don't stagnate. Here's the formula of quiet excellence. Measure progress by truth, not mood. Adjust quickly. Reflection means nothing without correction. Keep humility close. The moment you think you've arrived, you stop evolving. Understand this. Success is not a finish line. It's a system of continuous adjustment. When you become your own competition, there's no winning, only refining. Each victory becomes the new baseline for the next climb. You're never done, but you're never lost either. Your goal isn't perfection, it's mastery. Perfection is fear disguised as ambition. It delays action until everything feels safe. Mastery is movement through imperfection. It improves by doing, not waiting. The mind that competes only with itself becomes unstoppable. Because no setback can derail it. No failure can define it. No external noise can control it. It's too focused on building, too occupied with growth, too loyal to its purpose. And the reward? A quiet kind of confidence that can't be copied. A life where progress feels natural. A presence that earns respect without asking for it. Each day you rise and face yourself again. That's where greatness begins. Not against the world, but within it. Compete with yourself, refine your edge, evolve your mind, not someday, every day. Chapter 13. Build silence into your strength, where clarity is born. Silence is not weakness, it's power contained. It's what separates those who react from those who respond. In a world obsessed with noise, the ability to be still is an act of rebellion. The ability to think deeply before speaking, to observe before acting, to hold your composure when chaos surrounds you. That's mastery. Most people fear silence because it exposes them. When everything grows quiet, they meet their own thoughts, the doubts they've avoided, the questions they've ignored. But silence doesn't create confusion, it reveals it. What you call overthinking is often just under-listening to yourself. Silence is the space where awareness grows. It sharpens the edges of your mind. It lets you see the patterns in your thoughts and the truth behind your reactions. When you slow down enough to hear your inner noise, you gain the power to organize it. Without silence, your energy scatters. With silence, it focuses. Here's the paradox. Silence is not the absence of communication. It's the foundation of it. The strongest speakers are those who've spent time in stillness. The most decisive leaders are those who've learned to wait, to observe, to let emotions settle before making a move. Because emotion-driven action is chaos disguised as urgency. Silence creates the gap where reason steps in. When you train your mind to be still, you stop mistaking reaction for progress. You stop chasing answers in places where noise reigns. You begin to lead yourself from depth instead of panic. You realize that most problems don't need more energy. They need better energy. And better energy is born in stillness. Start practicing intentional silence daily. No distractions, no notifications. Just you and your thoughts. Don't rush to fill the void. Let it breathe. Let the discomfort surface. That discomfort is the debris of constant stimulation leaving your system. The more you face it, the more peace becomes natural. In silence, truth becomes audible. You'll hear the quiet voice beneath fear. You'll sense what needs to end and what needs to begin. That's not spirituality. That's self-mastery. Your intuition is just intelligence amplified through stillness. Strong minds don't avoid silence. They seek it. They understand that every powerful decision needs incubation. The mind can't create brilliance while drowning in noise. Great athletes, artists, and thinkers all share one trait: deliberate withdrawal. They disappear to rebuild. They go silent to sharpen. You can do the same. Build micro moments of silence into your day. A few minutes between tasks, before sleep, after waking. Use those spaces to check your direction. Ask, what am I really trying to achieve today? What's draining my focus that doesn't deserve it? Am I moving from intention or impulse? Your answers will come in whispers, not shouts. That's why most people miss them. They're too loud to listen. When you begin to operate from stillness, your presence changes. You speak less, but say more. You act slower, but achieve faster. You stop arguing with the world because you've already negotiated peace within yourself. And here's the ultimate truth. Silence is the highest level of confidence. The one who truly knows doesn't need to announce it. They don't chase validation. They don't prove. They show. Their calm becomes their credibility. So the next time chaos calls, don't rush to answer. Pause. Breathe. Step back. Because silence isn't retreat, it's recalibration. It's the act of returning to clarity before moving forward with precision. Build silence into your strength. Let it become your hidden weapon. The source of every calm decision, every grounded response, every unshakable move. Because when your inner world is quiet, your outer world obeys. Chapter 14. Master your emotions, control the storm, command your life. Your emotions are powerful servants, but terrible masters. When they lead, you lose control. When you lead them, you unlock precision. Most people live as hostages to their moods. They let a single comment, a delay, a mistake decide the tone of their entire day. But emotions are not commands. They're signals. And your power begins the moment you start interpreting them instead of obeying them. Understand this. Emotional control is not emotional suppression. You're not here to be numb. You're here to be aware. Suppression hides emotion until it explodes. Mastery transforms emotion into information. Every feeling you experience carries data. Data about your needs, your fears, your values. Anger shows you where your boundaries are crossed. Anxiety shows you where clarity is missing. Sadness shows you where meaning has been lost. The goal isn't to avoid those signals. It's to read them, use them, and move through them with intelligence. Emotional mastery begins with awareness. Before reacting, pause. Ask yourself, what exactly am I feeling right now? Not the story, the emotion. Anger, frustration, guilt, fear, disappointment, name it. Because what you can name, you can navigate. When emotions stay vague, they stay in control. When they become specific, you reclaim leadership. Next comes regulation. When an emotion rises, your physiology follows. Heart rate quickens, breath shortens, body tightens. To regain control, reverse the process. Breathe deeply. Slow your movements. Lower your voice. The body and mind are connected. Calm one, and the other follows. Great leaders know this. In chaos, they breathe first, speak second. That sequence alone separates them from the masses. Then comes interpretation. Not every emotion deserves obedience. Some deserve observation. Before acting on a feeling, test it. Is this emotion helping me move forward or keeping me stuck? If it fuels you, use it. If it drains you, reframe it. Emotional maturity isn't about always feeling good. It's about choosing what feelings get to guide your behavior. Think of your mind as a command center and emotions as weather. The storm may rage, but the pilot still flies. The waves may rise, but the captain still steers. You can't stop emotions from appearing, but you can decide their influence. That's what separates reaction from response and chaos from control. The truth is, most people never develop emotional discipline because they were taught to either express everything or hide everything. Both extremes are weak. Expression without control is recklessness. Suppression without reflection is self-destruction. The middle path, awareness with composure, that's where strength lives. When you master your emotions, your decisions become clean. You stop sending angry messages you regret. You stop abandoning plans in moments of fear. You stop letting other people's chaos dictate your calm. Your consistency becomes your shield. You become the eye of the storm, still, steady, unshaken. Here's the psychological secret. Emotion follows attention. Whatever you focus on, you feed. If you constantly replay what went wrong, your emotions will loop endlessly. But if you direct focus toward what's within your control, actions, standards, next steps, your emotional energy transforms into drive. To train this, practice what elite performers do. Reflection, not rumination. After any intense emotion, ask 3 questions. What triggered it? What did it try to teach me? What's my next move that aligns with strength, not impulse? Over time, this becomes automatic. You start noticing the emotion, decoding it, then acting with precision, all within seconds. That's emotional mastery in real time. And the reward? Peace. Not the passive kind, the grounded, deliberate kind. The peace that comes from knowing no matter how unpredictable life becomes, you'll stay stable. Because the storm may come, but your leadership doesn't flinch. Master your emotions, and the world loses its power to manipulate you. No insult, no failure, no delay can control someone who governs their inner climate. You'll stop chasing calm because you are calm. You'll stop fearing pressure because you are pressure. That's when you become untouchable, not because life gets easier, but because you've become harder to shake. Control the storm within, and you'll command everything beyond it. Chapter 15. The Standard of Stillness. Act slow, move strong. Speed is the illusion of progress. In the modern world, everyone's sprinting, scrolling, reacting, chasing. They confuse motion with momentum. But true mastery doesn't move fast, it moves right. The strongest minds don't rush decisions, they refine them. They know that clarity, not speed, decides the outcome. Stillness is your hidden advantage in a restless world. It doesn't mean inaction, it means control. It's the ability to stand in chaos and see clearly while everyone else drowns in noise. It's the strength to hold your ground while the world tries to pull you in every direction. That's what separates those who perform under pressure from those who collapse under it. We've been conditioned to think success is a race, that the one who moves first wins. But the truth is, the one who thinks first lasts. The calm strategist always outlives the impulsive sprinter, because while speed burns energy, stillness builds it. Stillness gives you leverage. It's in silence that ideas form, patterns appear, and instinct sharpens. Most people skip this part. They fill every moment with activity, terrified of slowing down. But without stillness, you make the same mistake repeatedly, faster each time. To master stillness, you must retrain your nervous system. The next time you feel urgency, the need to reply, to react, to fix, pause. That pause is your weapon. It's the space where emotion burns out and intelligence takes over. The mind regains altitude in that gap. Decisions made from stillness last longer because they're not born from panic. They're born from clarity. Stillness also magnifies your presence. When you speak less, people listen more. When you move with purpose, every step carries weight. You become magnetic, not by trying to be seen, but by controlling your energy. The loudest person in the room rarely leads it. The calmest one usually does. Here's the paradox. Stillness isn't passive. It's disciplined action without noise. It's the ability to execute cleanly, without wasted motion or emotional clutter. Think of martial artists. Their power comes not from constant movement, but from controlled precision. Every strike is timed. Every action is measured. That's stillness in motion. You can apply this to your life. Stop reacting instantly. Stop explaining everything. Stop defending every choice. Let silence speak where noise used to live. You don't owe the world constant visibility. You owe yourself consistent direction. Stillness teaches patience, and patience is power disguised as waiting. It's what lets you play the long game while others chase the short one. The mind trained in stillness can see through manipulation, distraction, and impulse. It knows when to strike and when to stay quiet. When you embody stillness, your energy changes rooms before your words do. People sense composure. They sense depth. They trust it. Because chaos is easy to fake. Calm is not. Calm requires proof. To build it, create stillness rituals. Begin your day in silence. No screens, no noise, just intention. End your day in reflection, not judgment, just awareness. Between actions, insert pauses. A breath, a beat, a moment to reset. You'll start to notice that life slows down even as productivity rises. Your thoughts become cleaner, your reactions shorter, your confidence quieter. The truth is, stillness is not something you do. It's something you become. It's the expression of a mind that no longer flinches under pressure, that doesn't confuse noise for importance, that doesn't need validation to move. That's when your power becomes effortless. You'll lead without trying, influence without speaking, and win without shouting. Because real strength doesn't need to announce itself. It simply stands still and commands the room. But Chapter 16. The long game. Build what lasts, not what looks good. Most people live like sprinters in a marathon. They crave fast results, instant recognition, and visible success. But anything that comes fast, leaves fast. Growth that lasts is built on patience, discipline, and repetition, not applause. The long game is where real winners are made, because it tests what short-term minds can't endure: consistency without attention. The long game demands that you think in decades, not days, that you choose construction over decoration, foundations over fireworks. It's not about looking successful. It's about becoming solid enough to sustain success when it arrives. A fast rise without a deep root always ends in collapse. If you want to last, you must learn to be underestimated. You must be willing to disappear while you build, to be unseen while you sharpen. The long game is quiet work. It's the grind no one posts, the planning no one praises, the failure no one witnesses. But those who commit to it emerge with something unshakable: credibility, resilience, and real authority. The impatient mind confuses visibility with progress. It wants to be noticed before it's ready. But the wise mind understands that maturity grows underground. Like a tree, your strength is invisible until the roots are deep enough to handle the storm. Ask yourself, what are you building that will still matter 10 years from now? Are you chasing moments or constructing meaning? Are you optimizing for attention or for longevity? Most people burn out not because they lack ambition, but because they chase peaks without building plateaus. The plateau, the long, steady, sometimes boring stretch, is where mastery happens. That's where skill compounds, where character hardens, where identity becomes stable. The average person calls that phase stuck. The elite call it building. The long game also redefines your relationship with time. You stop expecting transformation in weeks. You start expecting refinement in years. You stop rushing outcomes. You start improving systems. Because the person who trusts time doesn't need to panic. They know momentum is earned, not inherited. Playing the long game requires emotional endurance. You'll face loneliness. You'll face doubt. You'll wonder if anyone sees the work you're doing. They won't. And that's the point. You're not building for them. You're building for your legacy. The crowd sees moments. The builder sees eras. Discipline in the long game means staying consistent when no one claps. It means holding the line when enthusiasm fades. It means producing on schedule when inspiration disappears. The work must continue, not because it's easy, but because it's essential. Here's what most won't tell you. Mastery feels repetitive. The path to greatness often feels like nothing is happening. You'll repeat the same drills, refine the same lines, fix the same errors, thousands of times. But every repetition is a deposit in your future bank. The interest compounds quietly until one day it looks like overnight success. You don't need to prove your pace. You need to protect your process. Because the process is the only thing that survives when trends die and noise fades. The long game will test your patience, but it will reward your permanence. It's not glamorous. It's not fast. But it's undefeated. Stay patient. Build slow. Layer deep. You're not here to be impressive. You're here to be inevitable. Chapter 17. Self-respect as a strategy. Never lower your value for comfort. You can't lead your life from strength if you don't respect yourself first. Self-respect is not ego. It's the foundation of every decision that shapes your future. It's the invisible line that defines how you think, how you speak, what you tolerate, and what you walk away from. Without self-respect, you'll chase approval like oxygen. You'll give time to people who drain you, energy to projects that don't honor you, and attention to distractions that destroy you. You'll mistake validation for connection and comfort for peace. And slowly, you'll start negotiating your worth until you forget you ever had one. But with self-respect, everything changes. You stop asking for permission. You stop apologizing for discipline. You stop explaining why you want more. You move with quiet certainty, not because you think you're better than others, but because you finally understand your value isn't up for debate. Self-respect is built, not gifted. It's earned through the small, private decisions no one sees. It's in the way you keep your word to yourself, the way you walk away from what disrespects your time, the way you refuse to settle for half effort, not from others, but from you. Every time you follow through, you prove something to your mind. I can trust myself. That's the core of confidence. Not being loud, not pretending to be unshakable, but knowing, deep down, that you'll stand by your principles even when it's inconvenient. Self-respect also means holding boundaries, not walls, boundaries. Walls keep everyone out. Boundaries teach others how to come in. When you set them, weak minds will call you difficult. Strong minds will call you clear. You're not here to please everyone. You're here to protect your standard. Sometimes, respecting yourself means losing people. It means being misunderstood by those who benefited from your lack of boundaries. But loss is not failure. It's filtration. What leaves your life when you raise your standard was never meant to stay at that level. Remember this rule: anything you tolerate teaches others how to treat you. If you allow disrespect once, you set a precedent. If you excuse laziness once, you create a pattern. If you break your own promises once, you train your brain to expect it. Respect is not a mindset, it's maintenance. You enforce it daily. And don't confuse self-respect with self-importance. Respect says, I matter too. Importance says, only I matter. The first builds leaders. The second breeds loneliness. Real power moves quietly, grounded in humility and truth. The psychology is simple. When your actions consistently align with your values, your nervous system calms. You stop over-explaining, overthinking, over-chasing. Peace becomes your baseline. From that calm, your decisions sharpen. From that clarity, your results compound. If you want to know how much you respect yourself, look at 3 things. What you tolerate when you're tired. What you say yes to when you want to say no. What you do when no one's watching. That's where your true standard lives. Not in words, but in patterns. So raise that standard. Not in arrogance, but in alignment. Let your effort speak where your ego used to. Walk away from anything that demands you shrink to stay. Because when you betray yourself to keep peace with others, you start a war inside you. Self-respect isn't a reward you earn after success. It's the requirement that builds it. When you live by it, you don't need constant motivation. You just need memory. The memory of who you decided to become. You'll notice something shift. Your circle tightens. Your choices simplify. Your energy strengthens. The noise fades. What remains is integrity. What remains is power. That's the kind of foundation no failure can shake and no compliment can inflate. Because when you respect yourself deeply, life begins to mirror that respect back. In opportunities, in relationships, in results. You don't chase value, you embody it. And from that place, you don't just succeed, you lead. Every lesson, every discipline, every moment of silence and struggle leads to this truth. The person you become is the foundation of everything you build. You can chase results, recognition, or validation, but none of them last if your mind remains weak. Success that isn't rooted in self-leadership eventually collapses under its own weight. You've learned how to think under pressure, how to move with discipline, how to live with clarity, and how to raise your standard until it becomes your identity. That is the real transformation. Not a temporary burst of motivation, but a permanent shift in how you see yourself and what you will no longer tolerate. When you lead yourself, you stop waiting for permission. You stop chasing the world's timing. You create your own rhythm, quiet, deliberate, unstoppable. You stop needing to be inspired because you've become the kind of person who acts with or without inspiration. That's freedom, the kind that doesn't come from ease but from structure. You now understand that strength is not a mood, it's a decision, renewed every day, especially on the days when no one sees you. It's the calm you hold when chaos arrives. It's the follow-through when motivation disappears. It's the silence that speaks louder than noise. You'll face moments of doubt. You'll face setbacks. But those moments are not signs of weakness. They're reminders to return to what's already inside you. Your standard, your structure, your identity. There will always be people chasing shortcuts, chasing hype, chasing trends. Don't join them. Let them run in circles. You're not building speed, you're building permanence. You're not trying to look strong, you're becoming unshakable. And here's the paradox of mastery. Once you reach it, you realize you never arrive. You just rise over and over into higher versions of yourself. Because leadership isn't about being finished, it's about being faithful. So as this audiobook ends, remember, the work doesn't stop here. It starts here. Every day is your training ground. Every thought is your rep. Every decision is your proof. You don't need to chase power anymore. You've learned how to generate it. You don't need to search for clarity. You've learned how to create it. And you don't need to find motivation. You've learned how to become it. Lead yourself first. With discipline, with silence, with truth. The rest will follow, because the moment you command your mind, you command your life. That's the final standard. That's where ordinary ends, and mastery begins.